June at Gasper Cottage has been a hot month, but we have had rainfall and the garden is looking all the better for it. Just decided to start this video with big sweeping views of the various areas of the garden that are really at their peak at the moment. This whole area that I've put my new ambition area is just glorious. And I'll get into the individual planting combinations a bit later on, but one of the things I'm really relishing in the garden at the moment is the incredible complexity and density of the planting overall. This may sound like gardening heresy, but I went to visit the gardens at Hauser and Worth yesterday, the Udolph field, and big chunks of it were a bit dull. It's very simple block planting. It's a bold effect, but in person there's big gaps, there's very unsubtle edges. I came home and thought my garden was more interesting, but that's probably gardening heresy to criticise the great masters. But looking at my garden at the moment, I am delighted, and I've had various visitors and they've all been very complimentary, which is very, very pleasing. But as you get into the individual areas, it is that layering of the annuals, the biennials, the perennials, the shrubs, mixing it all together. And there's the delicate balancing act of what you're taking out, what you're adding in. You know, there's all sorts of new things that have been added into this hotbed just this week, which, you know, right now, I can hardly even tell they're there. But give it another month and there will be some very dramatic effects running through here, which is part of the pleasure, the way the garden evolves and changes. But as a planting combination, that's so simple. The mauves, the yellows. And here, the way the pale pink of the Sidelcia just picks up the silvery colours in the foliage. What could be simpler? Just daisies and salvias. Love it. And then it's also the shapes, the little delicate heads of the sanguisorba there, compared with the veronicastrum. And as you get stuck in, I am being braver with the yellows, and the yellows and the pinks here, that's a very, very vivid pink in the silene. The front garden I keep much simpler in terms of colourways, but it's being a bit bashed around by the wind at the moment, but it's still glorious. And then in this area, which is the new ambition, I've got the grasses, but I bring in the touches of the oranges. And as those GMs fade, I've got some orange cosmos that have come in this area, which will lift it actually. And it is heavenly, but there's quite an excess of purple at the moment. There is the pink, which lifts it at that side, but it is definitely in need of more work. Unlike this main curve border, which is just at its complete peak. And these roses by the kitchen door are trained in a way that they sit in among all their geraniums and the cerinthe and backed up by that amazing clary sage. Stunning effect. So this is digging into that curve border a bit deeper, just looking at the different planting combinations in the different areas, the bringing in of the yellows and some of the warmer colours, and also the way the darker colours kind of dot through it and form a punctuation mark. Absolutely gorgeous use of the lavenders down in the secret garden, and depending on what they're sitting next to, they feel very different. Whether it was and over the edge down in the Udolphery itself, there is a kind of a bolder massing to the planting, and that the railway is now almost enveloped in its plants. But there is still that complexity. In the orchard, however, the complexity is of a different nature. It's the bandings of the subtle changes, which just reveals micro variations in soil and water. Simple but lovely.